Try that again. Alright. We hit some roadblocks last time. Didn't make much progress. Let's, I don't know, go a different way. Let's review. There's something in here about Beth. Knox or something. Well, maybe let's do a little update with Raina Roottrees. You usually use initially to place Raina, Rose, and Riley is still up, though instead of the cheery pink background with purple text, it's now a more traditional black text on a white background. The young webmaster has turned the site into a memorial for the sisters and their father. Oh, that's right, they're dead. It seems like she did end up getting her ears pierced like Rose after all. Regardless, there's no relevant information, just a picture of the girls with a sad MIDI piano playing in the background. From other higher profile sites, you find that a charity has been set up in the girl's name. Okay, this is something new. Let's follow this thread for now. Put this in the generic list and search for it. The Root website has a small memorial section to the deceased members of the family, but it contains no new information. The most recent catalog, spring 1999, I want to see these catalogs, had an entirely black cover with no text on it. On the leadership page, you learn that Root is currently managed by a designer who was apparently Brenda White's second in command. You don't recognize her name, and she seems unrelated to your search. Is this a red herring? Like, she seems unrelated. There's also a scholarship page. On it, you find information about the Roottrees Sisters Fashion Scholarship. It is awarded to 3 underprivileged high school girls each year who wish to pursue a career in fashion. Apparently, it also gives them an opportunity to show off their designs of professional models on a real runway. According to the site, the fund was created directly from shares that would have contributed to the inheritance of the Roottrees sisters if they were still alive. Like other aspects of the Clancy Trust, it's managed by Ruby Legal Enterprises. I never saw this before. Alright, we got 2 new threads to follow. Maybe. Let's follow this thread. Huh. Alright, it's right back here. Let's go this one. Ruby Legal Enterprises is the name of the law firm that has been hired by the Roottrees Candy Company. The company is named after the head lawyer, Ruby Spratt. You can't find much about the company from before this year, though all of the articles tell the same tale. After the fiasco of 6 Pieces and the revelation that the Roottrees internal law group was complicit in such a cover-up, they hired outside counsel. The Ruby Legal Enterprise Group now seems to have ties to multiple aspects of the Roottrees Corporation, including the Candy Company and Root. They were recently in the news due to a high-profile lawsuit they raised against Cicely Sanchez. Alright, which one am I going to follow first? Let's keep on Ruby Legal Enterprises. Oh. Clark Rafferty LaRue, as well as Ruby Spratt and her company, Ruby Legal Enterprise, were featured in Business Watch after the company took over as the keepers of the Clancy Trust. There's an article about that process that interviews both Clark and Ruby. It seems that Ruby actually approached the Roottrees sometime in late March, after the Roottree Rift. Oh, have I searched for this? But well before Roottree Mania. An accomplished but relatively low-profile lawyer, she offered to work for very little money, so long as she could be a public face to build her reputation. Is she part of the family? The family quickly jumped on this chance, as many family members often attempt to spend as little as possible to keep their shares of the Clancy Trust as high as possible. Uh, oh, there's an older version of this? I wonder if this was in the game before, or is this is just like a smokescreen. After looking over the Clans of Trust more carefully than anyone had in years, Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy Edward Roottrees' implementation was not legally sound, and that there would be a constant legal challenges without some modifications. The family decided to put her in charge of the trust, both legally and as a public face, to prevent further issues. Ruby Legal Enterprises has been described as a mix between a law firm and a PR firm. Her first move, a sort of a trial run before she was even hired permanently, was to help them draft a public statement accepting Sam into the family and declaring that they'd begin to address the Clans of Trust. This went quite well, and they officially hired her in early April. Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims to the trust, again organizing the various charitable causes, such as scholarships, that have been set up in the name of the deceased. This seems a little suspicious. Like the first game talks about how ironclad, first game, part 1, talks about how it was so ironclad. Oh, it's just Clans of Trust. Infallible. Okay. Butler County Times. News Time, maybe? Ah, okay. News Time briefly covered a lawsuit between Ruby Spratt and Piketty Magazine. Ooh. Cicely Sanchez. I gotta still search for her. They said that Cicely didn't have the rights to redistribute the photos in the magazine of Guy Hudson. Wonderful. Wonderful. This is where I'm gonna get the picnic pictures, maybe. Piketty apparently announced that they would be pulling their issue the following day, the moment that Ruby Legal Enterprise threatened them. This caused the issue to sell faster than any other in the magazine's history, though only for a day. Even people that would never have normally purchased it went out of their way to buy one, just in case it would be worth something someday. It especially caught the eye of conspiracy theorists who assumed that anyone worth suing over would have to be hiding something. An expert legal analyst from News Time states that it was unlikely that Ruby could have had the story pulled if it had gone to court, and Piketty likely got more eyes on it than it would have if the Roottrees just ignored the story. The Streisand effect. Alright, so I got Cicely Sanchez. No! I do not want the hints, thank you. Cicely Sanchez, Ruby Spratt. So Piketty. Alright, let's look at Piketty. And we're going to search for Guy Hudson. Pictures. Or text. In an issue that focused on a talking toy fish and the demonic messages it supposedly said as the batteries ran low, Piketty had an article about a cancelled book by Cicely Sanchez. The book's subject was Guy Hudson, and the issue was said to contain pictures that Cicely did not have the rights to publish. Because of the pictures, this issue was pulled from store shelves, making it subject to some conspiracies, an instant collector's item. Due to its recall, the version found in these archives is incomplete. Oh, that's too bad. Insane. Did I? Alright, let's take a look. Basilbub. Could this popular gift be filling homes with satanic messages? Exclusive Cicely Sanchez reveals Roottrees secrets. This utensil that will help you lose 50 pounds. This was an issue of the Piketty magazine that contained an article about Cicely Sanchez. The story concerned an unreleased book she had written about Guy Hudson. It seems that it used photos of Guy and Cicely As Sicily did not own the rights to publish, unfortunately the magazine was issued a cease and desist by the Roottrees lawyers. The magazine was pulled from shelves, and the version you found on your periodical search had the relevant pages removed, rendering this magazine useless unless you want to read about the potentially demonic fish toy. Alright. Well, let's search for Basilbub and see if we get on the internet. I'm annoyed. Alright, I thought I was onto something. How am I going to find this? Alright, let's look for a demonic fish toy then. Alright, what intuition is in here? We got Guy Hudson. It's just because Guy can lead to 8 things, right? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think that's what it means. Alright, Cicely Sanchez on the internet then. Is an author best known for The Portrait of a Changed Man. It says Cicely Sanchez, good. And her follow-up, Foreign Gospel, did not perform as well critically, but still sold quite respectably. She has written a few more books instead, including a biography of Van Gogh. And her first two are her claim to fame. According to a site about authors, Cicely is known for her non-fiction with a focus on exploring darkness of the human psyche. Recently, Cicely appeared in a magazine called Piketty with an article about a book she had been commissioned to write for Guy Hudson. The magazine and Cicely herself were immediately issued a cease and desist due to its inclusion of pictures that she never had the rights to publish. The issue was pulled from store shelves, making it an instant collector's item. Piketty collector's item. There's a category of flower with an outline around the edges of its petals. Really? Piketty magazine is a publication that, as far as you can tell, has no consistent theme. It tends to contain tabloid-esque articles that appeal to a wider variety of audiences and appears in many grocery stores near the checkout line. Unlike traditional tabloids, it doesn't typically feature celebrities on the cover. Instead, it tends to latch onto and create sensationalist headlines about whatever subject appears to be popular at any given time. In recent years, this has included Beanie Babies, Magic Eye images, and even Red Bull. It has often come under fire for printing fiction along with facts. Piketty gets around this by stating in every issue that all its articles are all the hearsay that's fit to print. At one point, Piketty ran an article about Cicely Sanchez, an author she claims to have written an unread book about Guy Hudson. The article was not even the main focus of the issue, yet the magazine was threatened legally by Roottrees Corporation. That particular article, the issue, the Big Sass Seabass issue was pulled from shelves. It has now become a collector's item, especially amongst conspiracy theorists attempting to figure out what the Roottrees company... do I remember the conspiracy website? I don't. Alright, maybe look for the Roottrees curse. You find a recently finished online auction that listed a copy for over $1,000, but nobody bid. Alright, I still got her books to look at. My head's in the way. It's too bad. Alright, find conspiracy websites again. To find that magazine. Piketty. Before that, let's look for this. Get it highlighted from the end. Big Sass Seabit, nothing printed. It's a talking fish that sits on a fake mount on your wall. When you press the button and speak into it, it mimics your voice and then insults you. Many people consider it a rip-off of a more popular wall-mounted communication-based fist decoration, but the packaging makes it clear that this one does not sing. Instead, what the advertisers say is that Big Sea Bass, apart from its competitors, is a sardonic and sarcastic wit will leave you that will leave you reeling with laughter. It's oceans of fun for the whole family. You'll be hooked on this big sassy sea bass. The words reeling, oceans, and hooked are conveniently bolded to ensure you recognize how clever the copywriter was. Recently, it appeared on the cover of Piketty magazine in the same issue that the Roottrees related article appeared. The issue was removed from stores after the Roottrees sued the magazine. The issue has become a collector's item and ripe for conspiracy theories. But the Roottrees are trying to keep from the people. Alright, I gotta find these conspiracy theories. But let's back up. Before we do that, let's find the books. Portrait of a Changed Man. Copy. I've forgotten how to spell her name. I think it's 2. Crap. I forgot! No, it is that. Alright, the book's description has this to say. What if everything you stand for, everything you know to be true today could disappear in an instant? All of your politics, relationships, gone in the blink of an eye. Would you still be you? This sounds like Philip K. Dick. Cicely Sanchez tells this powerful true story about a man who woke up after being saved from drowning in his backyard pool and became an entirely different person. Included are interviews from those who knew him best before, as well as a one-on-one chat that paints an entirely different picture. You won't be able to put it down without wondering, what if that were me? Alright. What's the other book? Foreign Gospel. Foreign Gospel tells a tale of a man from the Catholic Church who claims he was told by God that he should travel to Thailand and began to preach. Specifically with the goal to convert 10,000 people. He returned to the United States after just over 2 years, claiming to have succeeded. This book tells his version of the story, but the author Cicely Sanchez also traveled to Thailand to investigate these claims and talk with some of the so-called converted. Maybe the book was called Guy Hudson? Of course not. Alright. So conspiracy websites. There was Rafferty's email, which I don't have in my notes anymore. What was his name? It was this Chris Rafferty. Hey! When did these get added in? Were these in the main game? Did I miss a picture of... I'm pretty sure there's only 3 before. I'm gonna have to look now. When were these added in? Alright, I'm doing a quick... Let's go to the main menu. Continue. Let's go slot 1. 3 as it turns out to be. None. Alright. So they have added them in. Okay. Thought I was going crazy. It's weird that Miracle has like, I guess they use the extra entry over here. What was I doing? I've lost the thread now. Oh, I was looking for Chris Rafferty. Trying to find the conspiracy websites again. Great. Roottrees curse. Alright. During your initial search, you came across Thomas Overwood's conspiracy page about the Roottrees. 8 months later, the page still exists and is thriving. The visitor counter has reached 7 digits. Many older articles have been replaced. It seems that the recent uprising in Roottrees news has left Thomas Overwood with a constant stream of events to base new theories on. More than one of his theories involve Roottrees deaths being faked. According to Overwood, statistically, when you have this many high-profile people who have died in a family, the odds are that one of them faked their deaths. It's just math. This newfound focus on death faking seems to coincide with a post mentioning that he's begun believing that Guy's not dead. Theory. In his own words, my eyes have been opened and all of this is beginning to make too much sense. One of his post details belief that Ron Roottrees is still in charge. Gwyn Roottrees' death was faked. And that Clark is only there to throw people off. What do you mean still in charge? Was he ever in charge? Apparently this allowed Ron to travel to France to develop their new candy recipe in secret. What? Mine, Ruby Skull. Okay, Chris Raff. Okay, let's go back. Apparently, this has allowed Ron to travel to France. Okay. Another is about the rapper 5Ps. He can't possibly be a Roottrees. One of his first album songs, when he was performing under the devil name, actually mentioned that he wanted to have sex with Arena. Oh, that doesn't make any difference. Not even Sab Manson is spared. According to Overwood, the author of Six Pieces isn't real. Sab Manson is an anagram for Am Madness. They're purposely leaving hints for us. He claims that by using 6 pieces with Lauren Roottrees' book as a one-time pad, he has begun to decrypt a cipher. Most of the cipher has seemed meaningless, but he managed to pick out the words people and vastness and is working on figuring out what that means. There's also a request at the bottom. Next year, 2000 is a leap year. It's not, though. 2000 is not a leap year. And Overwood is looking for funds and volunteers to catch the Roottrees red-handed in Operation RT-29. He specifically mentions not to volunteer if you've ever drunk Spirit Cola. It doesn't go into why. Oh, Operation RT-29. I remember that. Something about that. Guy's not dead. Oh! Did I get the pictures? The Guy's Not Dead conspiracy stems from a website that focuses on clues that the Roottrees have supposedly hid all over the place. This includes on candy wrappers and print advertisements and television commercials and in their jingles. Because, you know, you want to leave hints for your secrets. The story, according to the website, is that Guy Hudson was a terrible president of the Roottrees company and introduced multiple failed products. Something needed to be done and that would put the company instantly back in the favor of consumers. So they killed off Guy Hudson and replaced him with a new president, maybe. This move immediately garnered sympathy and the company recovered the next year, more popular than ever. The next president stayed much further out of the limelight, and some people even theorized that he was simply Guy Hudson in elaborate disguise, which is why he stopped appearing in public. The people who run the site are asking for help. They're certain that there's a clue to all of this accidentally leaked in a banned article from the magazine Piketty. On their page is a scan of the magazine's cover, the interview with Cicely Chanchas about Guy Hudson, and some photos. You add them to your evidence. We found them, maybe. What's the other one? Is that Zach again? I think it is. Alright, this is an interview with Cicely Sanchez, an author. She was hired to write a book about Guy Hudson. You claim to have been paid a significant amount to write a book about one of the Roottrees, Guy Hudson. He was president for a short period at the end of the 1970s, right? Yeah. I met him on New Year's Eve, actually. The last night of 1978. Alright, I'm going to take a little interruption here. Is Cicely Sanchez in this list? Not seeing anything. Ah, Susan Ford at the school. And the Grandorf Dove. Alright, I don't see any Cicely Sanchez. Let's go back. Guy liked to throw big parties. I was just coming off of Changed Man and looking for my next project. When his wife learned who I was, she invited me to the party and they cornered me to talk about a book. That was the first time anyone recognized me from my work. I had finally made it. The book they asked me to write sounded great, but then none of the stuff that made him interesting was allowed to stay. Chop chop, snip snip. Anything with even the slightest threat to Guy's image ended up gonzo. What was the stuff that made him interesting? At his core, Guy was not complicated. In fact, I think I could boil him down to two traits. First, he wanted to be seen as the second coming of the great Elias Rootree. And second, he'd never be satisfied living the life needed to be seen that way. He'd never be satisfied living the life needed to be seen that way. Oh, I see. He had his fortune and good looks, and he really liked to exploit that to pick up women. But he couldn't let anyone else know, so it cost him a lot to cover it up. That was the only interesting aspect of Guy. He was James Bond trying to convince people he was Mr. Rogers, I guess. Mr. Rogers, really? Maybe that's not the best metaphor, but Elias Rootree was boring as all hell and all about family. Guy did everything he could to be seen that way. After I submitted my first draft, he sent me this garbage book, The Rootree Legacy, with Elias on the cover. Oh, that's the fake one. Wait, is it? I think it is. I guess the main page is becoming the Guy page. The last time he and I met, he had even switched out his orange suits for some green ones Elias wore. And remember fancy flavors? Guy knew that part of Elias's legacy was the 5-piece flavors, so that's why Guy tried to do too. Caviar was a disaster here, but it was actually somewhat popular in Brazil for whatever reason. In Christmas 1979, he went to Brazil to open the Rootree Brazil factory. Guy was always hopping around the world trying to recreate that success. So how come the book never came out? It's complicated. I had an out in my contract. Surprisingly, Guy signed the contract my lawyers wrote without running it by anybody in his legal department. I could pull my name off the book at any time, but Guy still got the content. After I left, it probably got a lot harder to convince any real publisher to give it their time. Was it published under a different name? He was a president, right? Do you know why he never released it himself? If I had to guess, his family was very, very wisely put a stop to it. Mid-1981, months after I had already moved on, he called me back and showed me a final draft. Do you know how expensive it is to publish one copy of a book? I had my name on it in big shiny embossed letters. Like all problems in his life, throwing money at me was his attempt to win me back. But it had half the page count and the narrative was torn to bits. No thanks. The dinner was good. Imported steak that likely cost as much as a month of my mortgage. Where is it? I've lost the page. Alright. And we all got pretty drunk. He sent his mistress, Susie something. Susie something. Let's add it to this page as well. Oh well, I can't do it twice. Susie something was Guy Hudson's mistress. Poor girl, I remember her from our trips overseas. She was too good for him. Anyways, he died soon after, and that was the last the event ever came up. What can you tell us about the family? Any insight into the scandals and the recent book by Sam Matson? I actually haven't read it. I just skimmed the sections on Guy to see why people were suddenly calling me up to ask about the man. I'd say she did well for what she had to work with. She only had rumors. This is a recent magazine? Whereas I spent time tailing him. Sometimes he knew, sometimes he didn't. He invited me to join them when dealing with Roottrees Brazil, but I actually had people on him when he went to Australia, France, and China too. Alright. This is the Guy Hudson page now. Oh no! Can I delete this? I figured out who they were and how they were involved. Doubly so if the meeting happened when he didn't want me to be around. Despite his best efforts, I got the whole truth, including things even his family never knew. For example, the daughter of his business partner in Australia, I think her name was Robin. He and she definitely spent a few nights together, and they didn't want his family to know about it, but I did. Madsen got things wrong. Sam mentions Guy's affairs and treats them like most people would logically think to treat them. Like the infidelity was a problem for Patricia. When his wife first approached me, though, it wasn't to talk, if you get my meaning. On paper and in public, it was a marriage like any other, but in reality, it was more of a mutually beneficial arrangement. They both got what they wanted out of it, the same thing. Oh. They're swingers. I'm assuming I only have to spell it out so you can get it in writing for your readers. Women. Patricia enjoyed the company of women, and the swinger scene made that more accessible. I told her I wasn't interested in her and Guy. I found out later that if I had said yes, her next question would have been whether or not her husband actually had to be there, too. Guy, on the other hand, was seen in a traditional marriage and at the same time could bed any woman that found him charming. I can assure you that was exactly the type of marriage he was interested in. Alright. He was always in the wings there, Susan. This photo is the first from a magazine interview with Cicely Sanchez and Piketty. The issue of Piketty magazine that it came from was pulled from the shelves, but you managed to find it online. Piketty does not label its individual photos. Both photos were instead under the shared label. Cicely was provided these photos by the Roottrees company for use in her book. In the background of others, there is a Christmas tree. Okay. Hold on. She has a tattoo on her wrist of a flower. So this is the Christmas tree bash, I am assuming. Let's confirm this. How many Christmas tree bashes do we have? $1981, there's a Christmas tree bash. There's only one Christmas tree bash. Why are there two New Year's Eve balls here? Oh, there is a Christmas tree bash. Ah, sucks. There's more than one. Who are these people? That's Guy Hudson. Okay, let's put him in. She has a tattoo on her wrist. Who is this person? Guy, Zach. So who is the second? Who is holding this? This is a photo from the magazine interview with Cicely Sanchez and Piketty. The issue of Piketty magazine that it came from was pulled from the shelves, but you managed to find it online. Piketty does not label its individual photos, but both photos were instead under the shared label. Cicely was provided these by the Roottrees company for use in her book. That guy, and who are you? Blonde. Let's add the photos. More Guy Hudson. Okay, let's see if we can place her. Around here, this one. That could be Christine Garland. Was there a date in the photo? This is something I should look for. It's so small. I can't see it. Oh, it's a maple. Huh. Now, there was 2 ceremonies, weren't there? This might be Christine Garland. So that's... One, two, three, 4. Oh no. These 2 guys can be reversed. We'll do that in a second. This is a possibility for Christine Garland, but not 100%. All right. Yeah, it could be this one as well. Christine Farrell was hired. Okay, let's confirm. Let's switch the boys. All right. Okay. More.
Sam reached out to me finally. I think I have you to thank for that. My family's in a bit of a rough patch. Even though the candy is selling better than ever, everyone is fighting over the trust. The majority of us want to dissolve it. On paper, it seems like the right decision. The arguments about what to do next are endless and heated. More than a few Roottrees are worried about losing their wealth. I don't think we deserve it more than anyone else. I love my family, my wife, my daughters, Even my son, who I hardly ever get to see. I want to keep them safe and secure, but I didn't do anything to deserve this fortune. Hell, I probably deserve it less than most. It took me way too long to get my life together. Okay, enough about me. Here's the deal. I can't stop the majority from voting one way or another. If you keep passing along potential Roottrees, I'll keep adding them to the list. On the other hand, there's been some leaps forward in genetics. It may sound like science fiction, but we can actually determine who's in the family just by testing their DNA. What you've done so far has been very useful. Just keep filling out the tree and we'll prepare for the tests.
Oh, these are potentials. Alright. It's a good place to stop, I think. For now. I gotta figure out who these people are and who's this tattooed wrist lady. Business partner? Is this the daughter of Robin? Somebody's husband. Just an affair. Susan Ford, maybe? Susan said she was married. Her husband. He only had 4 years, right? Because he died. So maybe this is Susan near the end. I'm gonna guess this is Susan Ford. I'm not sure though. And I got this whole Elias. Oh, I don't have a new picture. Pretty sure this is supposed to be Elias Roottrees, first president. Just don't know. Look at that. Alright. See you next time.